Did you know that the lightest solid in the world is aerogel? This material is extremely light. Look at this piece of aerogel with this size. It only weighs 1.2 grams. This material, 99.8% of it is just air, and that is why it's extremely light. But what is aerogel? Why was it invented? How is it made? And what is it used for? First, let's see how aerogel was invented. In the year 1931, Professor Samuel Kistler and his partner Charles Learn made a bet. Their bet was based on Jello. Yes, the Jello you eat as dessert. And as you know, Jello is liquid and solids mixed together, but it's mainly liquids. Jello is like a skeleton form that holds the liquid together. But let's continue. What was the bet? Their bet was to remove the liquid from the Jello and let there be solid. If you want to evaporate the liquid, that doesn't work, because in that case, the Jello will shrink and get smaller. Professor Kistler noticed that he could change the liquid in Jello. When you put a piece of Jello in another liquid, the liquids basically change. Like if the Jello has water and you put it in a bucket of alcohol, the water gets removed and it gets replaced with alcohol. And after, you put the Jello inside of a machine called the autoclave. And this machine is used to sterilize medical tools and equipment. It basically uses high pressure, steam, and high temperature to sterilize whatever you put in there. When Professor Kistler put this thing in the autoclave, it removed the liquid from the Jello, and unlike before that the Jello would get destroyed, it kept its form. It was like a structure that had air in between them. The same size as the Jello, but extremely lighter. What this professor did, invented the aerogel. Aerogel has a lot of usage, and one of the things is that it's an extremely strong insulator. Like for example, if you put crayons next to heat, they start to melt, or chocolate. But if you look here, there is a flame underneath the aerogel, but it's such a strong insulator that nothing melts on top of it. This chocolate did not melt until the heat went around the aerogel. Basically, the aerogel would not let any heat through. Under the aerogel, it had a temperature of 700 degrees Celsius, but on top of it, it only had a 27 degrees Celsius temperature. This is one of those things that helped out science a lot and let it move forward. Just like when you find out something cool, Professor Kistler started experimenting with all types of materials. One of the things he experimented with was silica, which is also silicon dioxide, and it could be found in the crust of planet Earth. This is silica jello, and the liquid that's used is alcohol. But you have to know that it's extremely fragile, just like jello. But we're gonna put this jello with alcohol inside the autoclave, the same machine that sterilizes everything. Then we're gonna add liquid carbon dioxide to it. The pressure in this vessel is extremely high, and with a little bit of temperature, we're gonna get to the supercritical fluid. And when you get to this point, the fluids gets replaced with air. If you add a little bit of temperature to the autoclave, even as much as a hairdryer, the liquid carbon dioxide turns into gas, and what is left is the jello without the alcohol. This is where aerogel came from. Aerogel is so transparent, that if you look at it at a light background, you could barely see it. But on a darker background, you have a color, which is usually a whitish bluish color. Do you know why aerogel with a black background has a bluish color? Scientists believe that's the same reason that our eyes sees the skies as blue, because it has a dark black background. Just like we said, the aerogel is 99.8% air. But why is it such a good insulator? The reason is that the holes on an aerogel are so small that they don't allow heat or cold weather to pass through. But aerogel has helped out scientists a lot. It's used as insulation in different types of space probes. The Perseverance Mars rover is one good example that uses aerogel, and it's used to insulate the electronics on the Mars rover. And you should know that the nights on Mars are extremely cold, so the aerogel is extremely useful on insulating the electronics. Aerogel is also used on stardust. On this space probe, the aerogel is set up like a tennis racket to capture space dust that's coming toward it. This space probe was up there for 7 years trying to capture space dust all around planet Earth. What's good about aerogel is that it doesn't get damaged in a situation like this. And out of any material, it could capture the space dust the best. Stardust was launched in 1999, and after 7 years in 2006, it returned to Earth. And that was with a lot of samples. Scientists say in Antarctica, you could build buildings and insulate it with aerogel. If you want to use regular house insulation and use about 6 inches worth of aerogel for insulation, your insulation has to be 2 meters thick. This insulator is mainly used for coldness. Like the Parker space probe that's going towards the sun, this material is not used. Or the James Webb Space Telescope, because James Webb suffers from heat, not cold. Fortunately, it only got set back 2 days, because before when it got set back, it was months after months. And the set launch date is in 3 days, so on December 24th, 2021. And we'll talk about it in the video after it launches into space.